You are given the power to criminalize one legal thing or activity. What are you making illegal?
Story 1. I'd make it illegal for government officials to buy and sell stocks. Edit. Wow, this exploded overnight. Thanks for the awards, y'all. Matt Gaetz and AOC co-sponsored that bill, and it went nowhere, of course. And I'm sure they knew that, but did it anyway, so they say they tried to do it, but insert opposite political party candidate didn't want them to do it. AOC and Matt Gaetz are of opposite political parties already. Really, they're just showing that the whole system is effed, if anything. Yeah, no, they did it and the entire system just shot it down. There was no ulterior motive, they just wanted to do something good, and it got canned. Because no politician will ever vote for something that isn't in their best interest. The only way to get money out of politics is to put their assets in a blind trust, reduce their salary to the median income of the area that they represent, strengthen laws that punish them for insider trading and actually enforce those laws, and make them wear NASCAR-style suits with the logos of companies who funded their campaigns plastered all over, all while making the punishments very severe for violating in addition to imposing terms and age limits. It'll never happen, but that's pretty much the only way. What a weird group of two people to team up on something. Well, it makes sense in a weird way. I don't like Gaetz, but he seems like he's a little outside the Republican establishment. And AOC runs on a platform of this kind of thing and is generally willing to work with anyone when she wants to get something done. Also, they are both extremely new to the game, so they haven't had a bunch of time to get dug in with dirty deeds done dirt cheap. Meanwhile, people like Nancy Pelosi, who have been there forever, are worth hundreds of millions of dollars from their insider trading and would hate to see it go away. Their bill would only affect members of Congress and their families. And to have a significant delay period before officials work for the private industry that they use to regulate. For example, FDA working for Big Pharma or SEC going to work for big banks. Yes, I would even go further. If you're elected to federal office or cabinet post, you have to put your assets in a blind trust or escrow and live off your ample salary. The assets would also remain in escrow for a fixed period after you leave public service. This should include their spouses. Dianne Feinstein's late husband, Richard Blum, was the majority shareholder in ITT Tech and Career Education Corporation, two of the largest for-profit rip-off companies to exist. He helped start Corinthian and own the company that eventually became Corinthian. He was also the regent of the entire UC system and made unilateral decisions to invest the endowment and public pension into ITT Tech, so when the school went upside down due to regulations on for-profit, not being able to scam people, all he did was raise tuition in the entire UC system. She's made billions. She's sitting on the fourth wealthiest senator from the backs of people who wanted to try to better their lives with education. Oh, and she's invested several millions of her own money into these schools. No bailouts for private financial institutions. If they take on high-risk securities and go bust, they should be held accountable, not the taxpayer. It's totally normal for elected officials who haven't worked a day in their life to beat the market by triple digits over a 20-year period. Entering office with a couple $100,000 in savings and leaving with tens of millions is just common sense, you see. We are really starting off strong with one that I agree with 100%. And even though, as I'm sure people of this channel know, that I probably tend to be a little bit left-leaning, Nancy Pelosi can just suck a rock. The amount of money that she's made off of this kind of crap, and a bunch of politicians on both sides of things. Absolutely that this should be a law. If only we could convince, Congress to stop allowing themselves to make a ton of money off of this bullcrap.
Story 2. Those headlights that blind the F out of me every night coming home. Like, yeah, if you need the light of a effing quasar in your headlights to see, can't believe it's not illegal. Hope you enjoy seeing the future, because I can't see crap, is always my thought. Tesla, Toyota, and Lexus and Ford are the worst for their factory headlights these days. Then add all the morons that put the brightest aftermarket lights they can find in their vehicle, then don't properly adjust the beam and blind every poor bastard on the road. The new Raptor has optional lights that come disconnected from the factory because they're so effing bright that they actually are technically illegal. But since they aren't technically stock, Ford can't get in crap for it. It's ridiculous. The biggest issue with people putting aftermarket bulbs in, excluding stupid light bars and roof rack lights meant for off-road use that morons use on regular roads that crap's obviously effed, is people not realizing that those bulbs, HIDs for an example, require specific headlight housing to work properly. Most cars, especially pre-2010 era cars, came with reflector housings, which basically reflect the bulb's light back and scatter it everywhere. These are meant for standard halogen bulbs. Those morons, like you're referring to, put super high intensity HID LED bulbs in those, and it blasts the F out of everyone. The other type is projector housing. My car, although from 2008 and not a high-end car, for some reason came stock with that style bulb housing. These are the proper housings for use for non-halogen bulbs. I've had HIDs in mine since right after I bought it, and it's been perfectly fine. I even had a cop once pull me over for something unrelated and comment how he saw I had non-stock bulbs but installed them correctly and said he rarely sees that and pulls people over all the time for it. Said he especially loves pulling over the Jeep boys who think they are cool running their off-road roof rack lights on the highway. Anyway, the projector housings project the light out and create a perfectly straight cut-off line of the light, therefore not scattering it all over the place and into people's effing faces, unlike back in the day in the 90s, early 2000s, when everyone was tossing bright butt blue-purple HIDs in their Civics with reflector housings and frying the crap out of everyone's eyes. The other big issue I see all the time now is these big butt SUVs with factory-installed LED lights being so high off the ground that it blasts the crap out of everyone in a regular car. I'll be sitting at a red light in my regular car and some big butt Escalade or something comes up behind me and the headlights are level with my rear view mirror and I can't see crap. Sometimes the lights are even higher than that. So effing annoying. So ironically, this is illegal. Headlights that produce light outside the prescribed tolerances can and have been recalled for failing to prevent glare. The problem is that the headlights themselves are fine and regulated from the factory, but the aim of the lights is not. Manufacturers are responsible for designing headlights that don't blind oncoming traffic, but they're not responsible for ensuring that those same headlights aren't pointed directly into people's faces. As a result, studies have found that 1 out of 3 of all new cars sold today have misaligned headlights. When accounting for used cars, it's every other car. Headlights are self-regulated by the manufacturers, so according to the fox guarding the hen house, the hens are safe. LEDs have never been formally legalized as a light source. The FDA hasn't given guidance, the NHTSA has done no enforcement. They are simply too bright. If aim has been an issue, it's likely not a new issue, and if the industry can't produce safe lights within their manufacturing tolerances, they need to reduce the intensity near the cutoff. They should just lower the intensity completely, as any hill, rainy condition, or towing negates the effects aiming provides. Auto brights are also not responsive enough in curves, hills, or with pedestrians. So you're right, they are already illegal, but there's no enforcement mechanism for the law. The aiming argument is a red herring and does not address the core issue of light intensity itself.
Oh wow, ding-dongs putting crap on their trucks and cars and stuff that they really shouldn't, or doing it improperly because, ooh, bigger, better, shiny, oh, I'm so surprised, I'm so shocked that people just put on this crap wrong, and that's why it's been just a pain in the eyes on the road for decades. I just love people. I hate driving. I'm a very angry driver. It's one of the few places in my life that I'm just a consistently angry person, and these people are part of the problem.
Story 3. I'd make it illegal for businesses to buy single-family homes. Houses are for people, and companies will buy them up and rent them for 4 times the mortgage or worse. Just leave them empty to affect property value. F that crap. Houses are for people. I don't know how people afford anything in the USA anymore. Even with an above-average income, it seems like pick 2, a roof over your head, a car, or food. You can have all 3, as long as the roof over your head is your car's roof. Oh, so you've been to Green Bay, Wisconsin, where they're selling houses at 4 times the value next to the Packer Stadium because people can rent them for $5,000 a week on game weeks, and at the same time causing insane increases in property tax to those families living in that area because it's driving the value of their houses so high they can no longer afford to pay the city to live in the neighborhood they've owned in for 30 years. I can't emphasize this enough. It's downright evil. I've been trying to buy a house by all means available and have come across so much corruption, it's extremely depressing. I've seen houses that get bought out from under people, then drop into tax foreclosure as the company transfers it to a company, same company name but with a typo, to let it go bankrupt. I don't know why. Houses that are in financial trouble that banks let the tax bill go unpaid and then buy it for 2 times the value of the house because they are the payee, so they delete the equity the homeowners had in the house. Renovated houses that don't meet code, but you can't get it inspected if you want to buy it. Other people just buy it anyways. Houses that sell for 2 times their worth then get flipped for more. 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath sold for $260,000, then resold for $320,000. This is in an area where houses went for $125,000 just a year or 2 ago. Land, buildings, and houses that are still vacant that were bought for 10 times their value, $100,000 per acre rural land, by random firms, development groups, and other groups. Land remains untouched to this day. Most of the owners are impossible to reach. The list goes on and on. I have a friend who lives out of the city a bit, but right next to the interstate highway. He's lived in his home for 10 years, and he used to be across the street from a beautiful, pristine, 80-acre untouched old-growth forest. In fall of 2019, a developer bought the land and bulldozed the forest with plans to build a strip mall, and then 2020 happened, and the developer went under. The property is currently 80 acres of mud, just sitting there undeveloped for the past 3 years where there used to be old-growth forest. Story 4. The credit system, FCRA, and the way credit is built. It should be illegal to require open revolving accounts that are aged in order to maintain a high score. You should be able to pay them off and close them and still keep a good score, but they want you to keep them open and revolving. Inquiries shouldn't lower your score, and late payments should be able to be removed by the credit bureau if you have extenuating circumstances, not by the creditor themselves. The creditor shouldn't have so much power over your report that you have to negotiate with them in order to get things removed. This is underrated. Credit affects what places, things we can rent, buy, mortgage, and pretty much everyone from the ages of 18 to 75 is affected by this. Why do credit cards and banks have so much power over our purchases? To expand on this, how about the secret renter history database that the public doesn't exactly have access to or a channel for recourse? It's one thing to look at what's impacting your scores with the major bureaus and can dispute right in the app or pause your score, but these renter databases are effed. It's wild to me that someone with no credit history, simply because they never borrowed or needed to open a line of credit, are considered unsafe or bad by places, but then someone with bad credit history, such as history of repossessions or evictions, are still considered better than people with no credit history. Years back, I got denied by every bank for a car loan due to no credit history because I always lived within my means and never needed to borrow. But my bestie got approved right away, and she had a repo and eviction on her record. Yeah, they asked her to pay a pretty high amount every month, but they still approved her over me, even though at the time she was clearly awful with money and paying stuff back. Make it make sense. Man, I learned the hard way it'll tank your credit. I closed a Discover card, went from 780 to a 700 in what felt like overnight. F them.
Folks, if you're younger, let me tell you right now, getting a good credit score is unfortunately something that's relatively important. And so just keep an eye on that crap from early on. Don't do what I did. I made mistakes with my credit when I was like 18 and 19, and it took a long time for me to recover from that. So learn some of the basic tips about like getting like just little basic cards that you like pay off, like buy stuff with and then immediately pay it off within that month, and however the whole system works. It is a game that you have to play. It is a stupid game. It should not be a thing, but it's something, and it's going to be a pain in your butt if you're not careful about it. So that's just a warning to all of you who are coming into that age. Keep it in mind.
Story 5. Hospital and doctor billing practices. Price up front and no charges after. Hate getting multiple bills over an 8-month period. It's absurd. How about you pay a monthly fee and when you go to the doctor, there's no bill? Incentivize maintaining wellness instead of treating illness. You've just described public health care. But wait, there's more. The fee is proportional to what you make, and the healthcare services charge the taxpayer the amount it costs to do the work, not the amount they can get insurers to pay for the work. Wow, what an amazing idea. I wonder why nobody in the world practices it. Hell, as long as it's a reasonable amount, I could do this for $100 to $150 a month, and I'd still be saving money year over year. What insurance do you use? I think I pay close to $150 a month for my employer plan, and I still have co-pays, prescription fees, and annual limits to worry about. The system is rigged from top to bottom. Over the course of a lifetime, I bet almost no one ends up actually saving money by having insurance. At best, it's an extended payment plan. Story 6. Companies keep their workers just below full-time to avoid offering them benefits. That's way better than my no sporks rule. At my old job, they'd schedule me for shifts 15 minutes less than the length that would entitle me to a lunch break, so I'd also outlaw that. My old job did that for 5 minutes. They would ask you to stay late if your replacement was late. I was like, nah, if I work 5 more minutes, I get lunch. Already passed the 5-hour minimum for a lunch break, so I can stay if you're paying another hour for the day. Somehow I was the troublemaker. Got to love knowing your rights in an unfair labor market being labeled as troublemakers. Story 7. It should be illegal for it to be harder to cancel something than it was to sign up for it. Yes, you can subscribe just by providing your email and credit card on the website, but to unsubscribe, you have to do it in writing? What the actual F? To unsubscribe, we need to make sure you're a human. Please answer this simple question to prove your humanity. K to S equals mind. What the hell is all that? Life hack, tell them you're either going to jail or moving to a place far, far away. Comcast didn't believe me when I told them I was moving to a place that only had power service. I live in the middle of a bunch of farmland. We're on a well from the original property owners half a mile away. Power only goes to the pole in front of our house and then is cut off for a mile past us, which comes from the other side. We're one house, they have service a quarter mile away in the original direction. Oh, we will have to verify that. I used to do new builds and upgrades for them, told them what it would cost to build our house, and the phone person again said they'd have to verify. Even told them what equipment they would need because I knew the guys that had recently done upgrades in the area. Tried to bill us for estimating cost.
There's so many companies that make it so hard to stop having their service. Friggin' some of the email newsletters that you get signed up for, and it's like, click to unsubscribe. Oh, sign into your account. Go into this section. Check all these. No. Just unsubscribe, and I'm unsubscribed. One of the worst ones used to be, and I think it's gotten better, but getting out of gym memberships used to be hell. It used to be the worst thing in the world. I don't know if that's improved. I hope it has. I don't go to a gym. My gym, it's right here. There's literally an exercise bike right off camera that I use.
Story 8. I'd make it illegal for health insurance to decide over doctors what's important for patients. Yes, I had a friend have to fight her insurance company tooth and nail to have them pay to have precancerous growths in her stomach removed. They didn't want to pay for it because it wasn't life-threatening yet. But think of the poor insurance companies. I get your sarcasm, but it also seems weird to me that an insurance company would rather not pay, say, $10,000 for a preventative measure and then pay $500,000 later in chemo, surgery, etc. Yeah, my friend may die in the end, but the insurance company will still be on the hook for more money for the actual treatment than a preventative measure. Just make private insurance illegal. Story 9. Planned obsolescence. I definitely agree. This is actually criminal. Not just greedy, but so beyond wasteful. Shake my head. $1,000 phones that are dead in 1 year. God, my Pixel 3a XL is at the end of its life, between no more than security updates and its battery life getting terrible and just wearing out in general. I really want a new phone, but I haven't found a single decent phone I actually want to buy. I just want a phone with a good camera, good CPU, and removable battery, lots of storage, and a goddamn headphone jack for Christ's sake. Like, goddamn, is that so much to ask for? I have to have the same car for a while, and it just has an auxiliary radio. So if I buy a new phone, I either have to use one of those dumb dongles or just not use the auxiliary port for my car. I hate it. The auxiliary cord/headphone struggle is real. I don't understand why they, big phone, hate it so much. I prefer it to my Bluetooth personally, as it's way more reliable and less thinking for the phone and the car. Story 10. Different pricing agreements with different insurance plans. Example, if I get dental work done without insurance, they charge me $1,500. The same procedure charged to insurance is $300. Let's be real, the entirety of both the insurance companies and the medical institutions need to be put on blast for their pricing policies. This problem results from the insurance companies monopolizing a large patient base. Then they use that to negotiate with providers and say, okay, I have 1 million patients, and if you want to do work on any of them, you better agree to our rates. Therefore, the provider has to drastically lower their rates in order to accommodate the insurer, or else they lose out on a whole bunch of customers.
I think if there's anything that we've learned from this video, it's that just everything to do with medical billing and insurance, it's all just terrible, at least in this country. Sorry, those of you in other countries who have better systems, and this has all felt very like, what are they talking about? Medical billing? This and that? That doesn't seem... Welcome to America, the country where we've made things great.
Story 11. Advertising prescription drugs. When the ads first start airing on TV, there was this one that I only caught the end of where the narrator said side effects include blindness. Blindness? It was either help for herpes drug or an allergy one. Neither of which are bad enough problems to warrant blindness. It haunts me to this day. Which drug will blind us? Don't use that one. LOL. Effing hell. I'm on medication with eye deterioration as a possible side effect, and it's actually not that dramatic. Provincial healthcare pays for me to get a yearly eye exam because of it, and if any signs of trouble pop up, we catch them early and I come off the medication and not much harm is done. It's a super rare side effect, so it's barely even a concern. I imagine you live in the States if you saw a drug ad on TV, so people on that medication would most likely need to fight with insurance to get their eye tests covered, but I'm sure it's the same general idea. Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.